Hello, sports card collectors and investors. I hope everybody is having a great Saturday. This is somewhat of a 911 video that I'm making. I'll get right into that. First, let me say that for those that are new to this channel, please subscribe. We have more than 105 videos at this point on sports card investing, collecting, and other topics as well. We're going to keep them going. We bring out videos every day, sometimes multiple times a day. And so if you do like this sort of content, please subscribe and stay with us through this journey that we're on with this channel. So thank you very much for tuning in. Let me jump right into it. So I heard that last night there was a Zoom call with more than 80 NBA players, which represents about 20% of the league. And these players included Kyrie Irving, Donovan Mitchell, Dwight Howard, Carmelo Anthony, Joel Embiid were on this call. And essentially this was just kind of a players only call to talk about whether or not they want to finish the season and kick around different ideas, and just kind of hear out each person's thoughts. This was reported by NBC Sports. This is where I saw this. So, but essentially, they have, they're talking about topics like racial injustice, and then of course COVID going on, and trying to just figure out if the NBA's plan to restart the league is suitable for them, whether or not they want to do it, and then just kind of throwing around all the different thoughts and ideas, that go along with it. So, it's a wild time. In general, it's a wild time, but in the sports world, especially with all of us jonesing for sports, I mean, I've been extremely optimistic and just happy to hear kind of good signs that the NBA season was going to start back up. But to say that I'm a little bit concerned now, I would say I'm very concerned. I think that, there's, of course there's a chance that they still work this out and that players show up. But I mean, essentially the league has said that there won't be any sort of punishment for players that don't show up. I mean, they won't get paid, but there won't be any type of punishment for them. So they're able to do what they would like to do. And so then it kind of begs the question of which players on which teams are going to sit it out and which players are going to come. I mean, there's a million different variables with this thing. Even if they go along with the restart and everything goes according to what the NBA has planned right this second, I mean, you might have certain players that don't show up for the Bucks, certain players that don't show up for the Lakers. I know that LeBron James has been reportedly, he's come out and said that he feels like he can still impact social justice type stuff and play. I've only heard that he wants to finish out the season. If the players don't finish out this season, it's estimated that there would be more than $300 million more of player salaries that would be lost, and league losses are estimated at around $2 billion on top of, I believe, what they've already lost. So it would be absolutely devastating for the league and really for the players. And then to top that off, what you would also probably be looking at is a renegotiation of the CBA, the collective bargaining agreement. And that's where, the league would then battle it out with the players on an entirely new CBA, which again, that could mean a lockout. I mean, we were thinking, as far as sports card collectors go, it was, okay, well, maybe they don't finish this season, but then the next, we're already coming up to that next, the next season should start in October, November, December. So, but if you have something like this happen and there's a lockout, there might not even be a season, a next season. So, I mean, worst case scenario, well, who knows what the worst case scenario is, but one scenario is we don't see basketball again for over a year. I mean, it's not completely out of the question depending on how this goes. And I feel like it's an incredibly slippery slope. I mean, I think a lot of people think that just because of the money involved that players they're going to come, they're going to show up. But you never know. I mean, Kyrie Irving has said that he has no problem sitting out and losing money over sitting out the season for racial injustice issues that he believes strongly about. So, it really just kind of depends on how many players feel the same way that Kyrie does. And so it's going to just be really incredible to see how this thing unfolds. And then as far as cards go, what does that mean for the sports card market? What is that going to mean for basketball cards? Because basketball cards represent probably the hottest market of cards in all of sports cards right now. Baseball's right up there, but football lags behind. You've got others, you've got soccer cards and other things, that are there as well. But I mean, basketball represents a huge part of the surge in sports card transactions. So, what does it say for that moving forward? And then, another thought I had was, if there's just no sports, I mean, you think a lot of, and what a lot of people have, brought up as a reason why sports cards have gotten so hot is because, sports betting, people don't have sports to bet on, so that money's got to go somewhere, and so people are getting into sports cards, and that makes sense to me in part. I mean, the sports betting industry is a $150 billion annual business, is what it's estimated at. So when you think about how much money is coming into sports cards, and you're thinking about all the high rollers and different factors involved in that, just the fact that sports betting is $150 billion by itself, I mean, even if just a small fraction moves into sports cards, that's a tremendous amount of money when you really think about it. So, but if we go where there's no NBA season, and there's no NBA season starting in October, November, December because the CBA is being reconstructed, what's then going to be the hot sports card for people, or what are people going to do? And my question is, or my answer to that is, what about football cards? Everything looks to be like the NFL is gonna move forward. Honestly, I mean, if there's any league that's gonna just push through all the COVID stuff, I believe it's gonna be the NFL. They haven't shown really any signs of slowing down. Yes, they did a virtual draft. Yes, they'll probably adjust the schedule a little bit for training camp and things as needed. But for the most part, there's been no inkling from Roger Goodell that they are going to stop the NFL season, push it back. There really hasn't been anything to show us that. So, if there's only football on TV, does it have the same effect on football cards as The Last Dance did for Michael Jordan, Chicago Bulls cards, and for Pistons and Pacers and Knicks cards and everyone else in the documentary? Does it have that same effect where football cards surge? And that will be really interesting to see, because football cards, like I said, they're popular, but they're not, modern football cards they don't sell nearly as much as basketball and baseball. And I guess that's my other point. Is there going to be a baseball season? If there's a baseball season, then you could see a balance between those. But if there's no baseball season and all there is football, and there's no basketball, and it's just going to be incredibly interesting to see, and it's going to make me kind of rethink my strategy a little bit. And then what does it mean for basketball card pricing and transaction level? For me, I think that even if there's a ton of uncertainty, I still don't see there being a massive decline in demand for LeBron James, Luka Doncic, Giannis. I think that they still maintain their popularity and demand. Now, are there going to be the same amount of transactions involved? I don't know, just because if there's no, let's just say they call off the NBA season, and there's uncertainty around that next NBA season, people might say, well, what's the rush in me getting this rookie card now? And people are going to then be the people in buying mode are just going to be looking for, in my mind, I would think the scenario as it plays out in my mind, people will be looking for bargains, kind of in a similar way that people were looking for bargains when the season was suspended, COVID happened, and yeah, there was a little bit of a sag, but then it just surged. So we don't really know how that's going to shake out, but I just can't imagine, I could be completely wrong on this, but I just can't imagine that, if they don't have an NBA season this season, transactions are going to surge and it's going to keep on the way that it has been. I have to assume there would be a dip in there somewhere. It might not last, that dip might not last, but I just don't know. I mean, a big reason for me buying right now, I'm excited for basketball to come back. I'm looking forward to, that season, and even if it's not this season, I'm looking forward to the next season that starts in October, November. But this could throw all of that, on its head. So what do you guys think? What are your thoughts on this? Do you think that, it's going to, well, first off, do you think that there's going to be an NBA season? Do you think they're going to finish out this season? And why or why not? I'd love to hear some feedback in the comments. And then, how do you see it affecting card prices, whether they play, don't play, and then could it affect other sports like football or soccer, if they are playing because it's the only game in town? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. I think this is just a really intriguing. I'm nervous about the possibilities here. And then also, I guess, what about just long-term effects if, the players sit out, there's a lockout, could that really damage NBA popularity, or will it have no effect on NBA popularity once they do come back? Will it build up, demand for it because it's just pent-up demand for NBA basketball? I don't know, and those are things that, we'll just see with time, but I'd really like to hear what your thoughts are. Please comment below. Thanks again for joining, and like I said, subscribe if you haven't already. Get on the train because we are releasing videos every single day. Thanks, guys.